Today, on the 18th of March 2021, the UK government announced reductions in the plug-in car grant, whereby it's reduced from £3,000 down to £2,500, and furthermore it's reduced in terms of the overall vehicle's value, whereby before it used to cost £50,000 and under, so vehicles under that would be eligible for the grant, whereas now it's cars that cost under £35,000. Now, before proceeding, if you want to keep up with the latest news and reviews from TotallyEV, do check out our website, and of course do follow us on social media platforms. And furthermore, if you want to keep up with the channel, whereby there's mostly reviews of vehicles and indeed dedicated audio reviews, definitely subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell notification. So yes, indeed, what I've just said applies to cars and SUVs, where a lot of consumers will be affected. And this might affect people who are looking to buy vehicles that have got a longer range, because most cars with larger size batteries are inherently more expensive, not only for the manufacturer but also ultimately to the consumer. Take, for example, the Polestar 2, which we recently reviewed. It costs £49,900, and that figure wasn't plucked out of thin air. It was done because it was under the £50,000 threshold, whereby you'd be eligible for the £3,000 plug-in grant. However, as of today, it means that car is no longer £46,900 because it doesn't benefit from £3,000. It is its retail price of £49,900, which might ultimately make it a little less appealing. Now, for consumers, their £3,000 or £2,500 difference might not make much of a difference at more premium levels. However, coming down to, let's say, the £30,000 mark, what you'll find is certain cars that we've also previously reviewed, such as the Kia e-Niro or, for example, the Hyundai Kona Electric, which are two fantastic vehicles in their own right, are now basically at their own retail price, unless of course the manufacturer soaks up the cost and essentially gives you a reduction on that price. So for example, if Hyundai decide actually we want to sell the Kona Electric 64 kilowatt hour battery variant for around £36,000, then what we can do is subsidize the £3,000 that the consumers would have gained and effectively soak up that cost ourselves. Now, cars and SUVs aren't the only type of vehicles that have been affected in the UK, and I would go as far as saying that it's actually going to impact the commercial side a little bit more. And before getting onto that, it's worth bearing in mind that motorcycle, mopeds and taxis have remained unchanged from today's announcement. Here, motorcycles benefit from up to £7,500 of reduction, mopeds £1,500 and taxis up to £7,500. So again, still incentivizing those people who want to take those forms of transport. Now, moving on to the commercial side of stuff, this will not only affect larger businesses and companies, but also sole traders. For example, those of you who are looking to get a van for yourself, or indeed, let's say you have a fleet of vans and you've got people who work under you. In this respect, it's broken down in three separate categories, whereas before it was only two. So the UK government has made that you've got smaller vans, which effectively weigh less than 2,500 kilograms in terms of gross weight. And then you've got another category, which is large vans, which is vans which weigh between 2,500 and 3,500 kilograms. And then after that, you've got trucks. So breaking it down in terms of the small vans, here you will need a van that emits less than 50 grams per kilometer of CO2 in terms of from its tailpipe emissions, and it will be able to travel on zero emissions for up to 60 miles. Now, this is far greater in terms of requirement over what it was before, where it was 75 grams and 10 miles respectively. Now, in my opinion here, this is a positive move in terms of an environmental standpoint of view. However, for those people who are not quite convinced in EVs just yet, you will find that your options are quite limited, at least at the time of making this video, specifically for vans which can travel for more than 60 miles. Furthermore, the actual plug-in grant has reduced from £8,000 down to only £3,000, which again makes it a little less appealing. As for larger vans, it's very much the same case. You need a van that will run for 60 miles on zero emissions and will emit, again, less than 50 grams per kilometer in order to be eligible for the grant. Again, this is down from the respective numbers that I mentioned before for small vans. And here the grant goes up to £6,000. And this part was previously kind of lopsided with the trucks. So therefore large vans and trucks were considered as the same. So therefore fleet operators which were making large orders, so for example orders of up to 200 different vans, would be eligible for up to £20,000 in terms of grants. So this will make a massive difference for those people going for larger size vans. Now as for trucks, it's very much the same thing, because here you'll need a vehicle that can run for up to 60 miles on pure electric power, and furthermore it is very much the same case as before, that it needs to be effectively 50% in terms of its CO2 emissions, in terms of 50% reduction over its Euro 6 counterpart. Now breaking it down here, on the first 250 orders, the government will pay up to 20% off the first purchase price, and that's up to £16,000. That, as I mentioned before, is down from £20,000. After the 250 orders, it will then have an eligibility of £6,000 per vehicle, whereas before it was £8,000. Now ultimately this means that the government has reduced pretty much into every single category the amount of available grant that it's making available to consumers and indeed businesses. This will have undoubtedly a knock-on effect in terms of the uptake of EVs. And why is this important? Well, effectively EVs are one of the means of, not only for manufacturers for developing them, but it also means that consumers or businesses will be more likely to go and adopt for a pure electric vehicle rather than getting a plug-in hybrid like we've got over here, the Audi A3 TFSIe, and by the way, the review of that will be coming very soon, or indeed going for a pure gasoline variant. So as a result, it kind of begs the question, where is the UK and how does it stand when it comes to not only the UK petrol and diesel ban, which has been brought forward to 2030, but also how does it compare with some of its European counterparts? Well, there is a lot of data out there that suggests that the European Union, or should we say a lot of countries, specifically in Scandinavia, are doing far better than in the UK. And even if you look at the Asian markets, there's a lot more uptake because there's far greater subsidies, not only for companies but also for consumers, and this also includes the manufacturers, by the way. So and here I've got a quote from Mike Hawes. He's the SMMT chief executive in the UK, that is, and he said the decision to slash the plug-in car grant and van and truck grant is the wrong move at the wrong time. New battery electric technology is more expensive than conventional engines, and incentives are essential in making these vehicles affordable to the customer. And we'll wholeheartedly agree with the statement, because effectively you want to make it more appealing rather than less appealing in comparison to vehicles that emit effectively more tailpipe emissions. So hopefully this video has been informative and given you a little bit of an opinion from TotallyEV. Hopefully you appreciate that, and if you do, definitely do give us a like, and we'll be intrigued to hear your thoughts, be it if you live in the UK or not, as to what you make by this decision, and furthermore what your country might or might not be doing. If you want to see more from the channel, and if you haven't already, definitely do subscribe and hit that bell notification, and of course favourite and share, as this will also promote the channel to other wider audiences. Alright, I've been Chris from TotallyEV. Take care of yourselves and goodbye.